That he was going to be out of town. So again, it wasn't his fault. Maybe there's questions that he could ask that candidate. And again, I don't like the public display, but at the same breath, I think this is too important. And I think the candidates may be too close, just judging by your initial comments. I want to give Morris a chance. I want him to have a fighting chance because I think he is a fantastic attorney. And again, if you're pitting experience 10 years to 2, then Morris would have more experience with the county under another fantastic attorney of Scott Knox. So again, I think we're losing a really awesome, potentially great candidate in Morris Richardson. So if the board would be amicable to it, I would say, at least give the guy a chance to talk about his credentials in a public forum, so Commissioner Tobias can have the opportunity to have a discussion with him, since he is our second choice. I mean, just going off of the board, the way the board's leaning. I don't know, just a thought.
Okay, Commissioner Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Not to muddy the waters anymore, but I had asked Mars about it when I interviewed with him, and the judgeship came up. I talked to him about back in 2012. He ran for judge, and anyway, he said that he's not going anywhere. He gets this job, he's staying here, and this is the job that he'll be in until he's ready to retire. If he wants to be a judge at that point in time, he can run for judgeship. But this is the job that, as you said, it's his dream job. So I know I'm throwing some additional information that can muddy the waters, but I just, for the interest of being forthright and honest, I did ask the question, and that was very important to him. So I wanted to pass that on. I don't want a public display. I don't want to ask them questions in public. If you guys want to make the decision to bring these two candidates back for us to talk with, I'm fine with that. I don't know what I can ask them that I didn't already ask them. I've done a lot of interviews in my life. I've never hired an attorney, but really from my perspective, it's not any different from hiring anybody else. You focus on the job itself, what the job requires, and you really want to get to know, you want to ask questions that give you insight as to who the person is. I've already done that. So I don't need to meet with either one of them. Like I said, I'm really kind of at a toss-up, but if I had to vote today, I would lean towards Abby by the slightest of margins.
Okay, so Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Lober's pretty solid. Commissioner Zonka's pretty solid. I think you and Commissioner Tobias are the ones I'm trying to figure out whether we're doing this today or waiting, or where y'all are comfortable. So actually, you're the two gentlemen I really need to hear from, so I can see where you guys are as far as settled on voting.
Well, like
today.
I said, I'm good today. I've asked all the questions I'm going to ask. If you guys want to bring those two back,
Are you not going to change? You think they're settled?
yeah, I'm not. There's no question that I can ask either one of them
Okay.
that I need an answer to. I
So you're pretty
already did
solid
that.
on who you're going to vote for.
Mhm.
Okay, Commissioner Tobias, you as well. You're the other one. If I can find out if you think you're solid, or
Well,
I mean, other meeting would change you. That's what I'm trying to figure
Thanks,
out.
Madam Chair. And our office has worked with the county attorney's office on multiple occasions. I'm comfortable right now. I don't know about this motion. I have to look over it. I don't know if our current county attorney is okay with this. I'd certainly want to see what her opinion would be with this. I'd certainly like to see what Abby would have to say about this. But today I'm comfortable with going with Abby. I've spoken with constitutional officers. I've spoken with current staff on this one. The individual that sat on the meeting was an attorney in my office who was able to ask, quite frankly, better questions than what I can with no formal legal education. So I am more than willing to go with Abby if the decision is going to be made today.
Okay. So I think what we'll do, Commissioner, I don't know what's our old lights. Is that a new light? Okay. Commissioner Lober, is that a new light?
It is.
Okay, so I think what, if you guys don't mind, we'll make a vote here in a minute to go with an attorney, because I think you guys are there. And then we'll talk about this motion after we do that. Is that all right? Commissioner Lober?
A couple things with that. I think part of what I intended to get across with this motion, I will tell you, I did run it by Abby, and I incorporated a requested change in the, let's see, first, second, third, fourth paragraph that she had requested regarding the handover. She is okay with that, and I'm happy to represent that to the commission with respect to how it reads now without any objections, as it was changed to fit the one concern that she had. Part of what I wanted to do is to clarify with this transition exactly who's in charge. We cannot have two bosses at the same time. So if we simply select someone, we still are left with an ambiguity in terms of, are they in charge and is Eden second? Or is Eden in charge for a period of time? This motion, if it does nothing else, clarifies to a very large extent exactly who's responsible for what and when the handover takes place. So I would suggest, rather than just selecting someone and leaving it ambiguous, we really need to take a look at this. I don't know if Eden has had a chance, or maybe by the end of the meeting, if we can recall this particular agenda item to give her an opportunity to take a look at it. But I would strongly suggest that if you don't want to adopt the particular verbiage that I use, that we include something else that would cover those concerns, because this addresses essentially any question that foreseeably can come up with respect to who's in charge, when they're in charge, so we don't have a problem, even though I don't anticipate one between now and the time that Eden retires.
Okay,
Madam Chair.
I don't think I'm gonna vote with this, Commissioner Lober, just because I heard your thought with it. But if Abby can't jump in that time period, she's been here, we're picking the wrong lady. So I think she can do it. I think I'm comfortable with Eden finishing this through and Abby getting things in sort. Same if we brought on Mr. Richardson, I would feel the same way. Either they know how to do this job or they don't.
It doesn't answer
So-
the question, though.
Well, it does for me. I think Eden can finish it out. I think her and Abby work very well together, or whoever comes in. So I'm probably not going to vote for this. I don't know where the rest of the commission is, but I'm willing that if we all get a good place of where we're going with an attorney, I'm going to vote with them. I want the attorney coming in, feeling they're very wanted by this commission.
Okay.
So.
Well, this is my motion. I'll go ahead and formalize it as
Well,
such.
hold on just a second. Let me get through a couple, Commissioner Zonka still, and then we'll come right back to it. Commissioner Zonka?
And I don't think this will change anybody's minds, but if everyone, has such high thoughts on Abby, I mean, if Morris Richardson were the choice, we'd still have both. So that's just a thought. Put it out there. She's the assistant, so we would still have both talents.
For how long?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Because I'm not them.
Well, if you're
I
saying
can't
we have
answer
them
that.
both, I mean, you're representing
And if you're
that.
saying Abby would leave because she didn't get the job, she's been here for 2 years. That says more about her. I mean, I don't know how long she would stay, but I asked Morris if he would retain the staff and he had said yes.
I'm just not sure I'd be comfortable in some place I wasn't, wanted.
Wasn't one. It wasn't the
Oh.
first choice, was the second. I mean, that's making a pretty big leap. To
Well,
assume
another
that.
leap is not wanting to bring candidates back for a round of interviews until your chosen candidate wasn't the candidate.
I
that
said if
appeared
you
to be
had more
them.
questions, because John Tobias did not interview one of the attorneys that applied.
But you wouldn't have said that if it were Morris.
Of course, I'm going to fight for my candidate.
But my point is your logic applies only to one candidate, but conveniently not the other.
That's not
Well,
true.
It
And
is.
it is absolutely not true.
When you started discussing this, you'd mentioned that you didn't
And
want to have second
Commissioner
rounds.
Smith said he was on the fence. He said he was on the fence when he initiated the conversation. So, I mean, I appreciate the back and forth, but no
It's
thanks.
fine.
Okay.
Well, the minutes reflect everything.
Commissioner Smith?
Many minutes that you offer.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, from my perspective, Eden is the county attorney until she walks out the door.
Yeah.
She's the boss until she walks out the door. She can turn over whatever workload she wants to whichever county attorney that she has working for her. It's her choice. So if she wants to increase Abby's workload as she goes along, that's her choice. If she wants to continue doing what she's doing now, that's her choice. She's the boss, and she is the boss until the day she walks out the door. And she's smart enough to figure out how to prepare that office for the eventual day that she leaves. So I think it's a moot point.
Okay, Commissioner Tobias asked for a 5-minute break. Sir, is that correct?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to speak with
Okay.
County Attorney concerning this motion.
Okay, I'm going to take a 5-minute break here.
fun.
Yeah. I gotta tell.
Welcome to Palm Bay Live in the news segment. This news segment is brought to you by our Business of the Month, Jamrock Grill, serving the best in Caribbean dishes. Jamrock is located at 160 Malabar Road in the Winn-Dixie Plaza and the National Night Out Against Crime. This week on Palm Bay Live, we cover the recent resignation of Councilman Jeff Bailey. We look at the rising COVID cases in Brevard County, and we look at upcoming events happening around our county. Now in the news. The recent resignation of Councilman Jeff Bailey has prompted the city charter's officers to come up with a creative way to fill his seat. A request is
Commissioner Lober with your light.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to make a motion to appoint Abigail Jurenby to be our next county commissioner.
I have a motion. Oh. County attorney,
What did I say?
county commissioner.
Well, she can be that too if she wants.
Do we get to take our
She can
pick?
take my place. County attorney, I stand corrected.
You pulled a Rita. Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second? I don't have a second.
Madam Chair,
Okay, motion dies for a lack of
I'm
second.
going to make a different motion. That at least, this is going to shorten the prior motion considerably, but I think it includes the absolute minimum that we need to get in there. I'd move that we name Abby as county attorney effective November 1st. So there's no ambiguity with respect to who's in charge till then. And additionally contemplated as part of the motion, we direct staff to begin negotiating a contract and authorize them to perform any necessary changes or actions in furtherance thereof.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Tobias. Discussion? Are you good with that?
I'm good with that.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Is Miss Abby in the room? She's upstairs. Oh, I thought maybe she took the day off. We'd have to kind of work on that.
Only if it
Okay.
went badly.
Congratulations, Miss Abby. But I do want to say, I have worked with her long enough. If we would have picked the other fella, she wouldn't have got mad and quit. She's just in for the long run with the county, and it's just not her personality. And if I would have thought that, she wouldn't have been in my top two. So I just wanted to say that. Commissioner Tobias?
Madam Chair, who will the staff be to negotiate the contract with?
Oh, good thought. I think, wouldn't that be our manager?
That's what I would think, but you didn't.
Yeah,
No.
If that's
just
who
for
it is.
clarity's sake, I think county
That's
manager would be.
typically what they do, right?
If you're good with that, I'm good with that, unless y'all need a
just
motion for
one-on-one,
it.
would you- Madam
That's
Chair.
it, Frank, right?
Yeah, typically it's been the county manager and the human resource director will come back and bring a proposed contract back to the board.
I'm good with that.
Okay, we are now moving into item J1.
Item J1 is a request from Ivy Cove LLC for the board to waive section 622883D that requires a 15-foot buffer tract along residential subdivisions. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, sir. I am comfortable with this.
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Commissioner Lober,
Second.
second by Commissioner Smith. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Item J2.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Good morning, Commissioners. Mary Ellen Donner, Brevard County Parks and Recreation Department Director. You have before you asking for direction regarding background screening investigations for Parks and Recreation Department recreation partners, recreation instructors, and volunteers. I have presented 3 potential options for background screening, and also 3 potential options for background screening costs.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Lober, I'm going to call you, but I just want to throw this out
Yes,
here
ma'am.
real quick. I'm probably going to want to stay with what we have unless we went to number 2 and made it a little bit tighter. But I think what we have in place is working. So I just wanted to throw that out. As far as loosening it, I'm not going to be in agreement with that just because it's involving the children. So that's kind of where I'm settling. Commissioner Lober?
I wanted to actually address the second part of it first. So the background screening cost, my thought is, this is one of those where we really could go either way. I think they're good arguments either way, but I think option B, which is kind of a split the difference sort of an option, is something I'd be comfortable with. So regardless of which of the numeric options we go with, I would suggest maybe we look at option B separate and apart from that.
Okay, sir. So you're thinking that the person doing it would help share the cost with it?
50-50.
Okay. Any other comments? Commissioner Zonka?
I would prefer that the league takes over their costs at the beginning of the year myself, because, that's part of what you pay for when you, and they can, if they're having trouble financing the league activities, they can, as parents, we have to pay for our kids to participate all the time. And I would rather that burden be less on the county and we invest those monies more into the maintenance of those parks, because that's probably one of the, not multiple complaints we get, but, people concerned about our ball fields and that sort of thing. So I'd rather pass the cost on to the recreational groups after the beginning of the year.
Okay. Commissioner Tobias?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'm glad that we've pretty much glossed over the first portion of it. I think administrative orders are something that are best left in the county manager's hands. I think he's done a fabulous job on this. It doesn't matter, but I fully support AO5, and I think it's done a great job making sure that people that shouldn't be around our kids are not around our kids. And you look at the number of, again, I don't go over this stuff, but it was brought to our attention. Ms. Donner brought us applicants that were not allowed to be around our kids. And there were some scary things as to people that even applied. And you got to wonder about all the people that thought better than applying in the first place. So again, I don't think administrative orders need to be amended in any way. As far as background costs, they are substantial money that is not going to tax breaks or money that would directly be going to provide better services. I like option C, and Mary Ellen had done a good job bringing the cost down. We could do it per annum, so it's not a large hit. I would be in favor of C. However, if the board goes with B, that certainly would cut the costs in half. So either way, B or C certainly would be a better circumstance than what we're currently in.
Okay, I have 1B and 2 Cs. Commissioner Smith. Sorry, I'm going to see which one was your choice. Would you like to continue to pay for all of the background? Do you want to split it with the rec partners, or do you want the rec partners to pick it up in full January 1st?
Commissioner,
I like option B, but I would prefer if it was 1 year rather than 2.
we can do that.
B, 1 year, not 2. Okay, Commissioner Lober.
I was going to say, there's nothing holy about making it a 2-year period. You could make it indefinite. You could make it 1 year. You could make it 5 years. Option B, there's nothing that says we can't kind of modify it a little bit. If Commissioner Smith is happier with having it be 1/2 for 1 year, and then at that point it would shift to the rec partner, I could live with that as well.
Okay, I think I'm probably comfortable with that. Give a lot of time, well, some time for them to adjust, because we already got some that are already going to cover that time period anyways for a lot of these people. This would just be involving the new people coming on board, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So
So
you want me to make a motion?
I think we've heard through everybody.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we go with option B, but change it from 2 years to 1 year
Second,
through July
Leave
23.
the AO currently in place.
Yes, everything
Yes.
except
Okay.
that.
can we keep them separated? Is that all right?
I think we have to change the AO a little bit to include this language, correct?
No,
No? Okay,
no, the AO does not address the cost of the background check.
okay.
So that's my motion.
To leave AO in place and then do option, you guys have this
B
over
with
there.
1 year.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. You guys are so great to work with. I'm so
Thank
glad
you.
y'all protect children. Item J3.
Commissioner, this agenda item relates to the Coronavirus State Fiscal Recovery Fund, or ARPA, and deals with the $58.5 million that was allocated in the first tranche for the board. As you know, $8.5 million was already dedicated to fire rescue, leaving $50 million. In the agenda item itself, staff has given you a framework for discussion. That framework includes looking at what ARPA funds could be utilized for. The first the first bucket, so to speak, is a recommendation of investing in water and sewer infrastructure. Staff provided a $30 million amount there. That amount, and I wanted to be clear on this portion of it, we provided you an attachment that showed about $40 million worth of work that utilities believes can be completed under ARPA under 2 years. 2 years, however, is not a mandate. We have actually 4 years in which to allocate those expenditures and actually 6 years to complete it. So there are many other projects in various districts that can be undertaken if the board allocates 30 million or any portion thereof, or more than the 30 million, including dollars that are going to be available next year after May, when additional $58 million will be made available. So you have the $30 million in that first bucket. In the second bucket, we have categorized for the board's consideration the other major programs we think the board would be interested in looking at, and we've outlined them in the agenda item, and we have put a number of $10 million into those buckets. Those buckets include revenue replacement opportunities in 3 different major areas: tourism, gas tax, and soil, which had lost revenues during COVID-19, and how much money was available there. There's about close to $10 million that would be available. You can do any or a portion thereof in those areas if you so chose. A second major area that's available under ARPA is a negative economic impact. There's a potential of doing it into disproportionately impacted communities or economically disadvantaged areas, such as household assistance, small businesses, nonprofits, tourism, travel, hospitality. They're all specified in the legislation. Premium pay, hazard pay, during the period of COVID, during which COVID was there, is another area that's specified in there. And so that's included there as well. And staff has given a $10 million starting point for the board's discussion. And then the third area would be, since you have a significant time in which to make these decisions, we put the remaining dollars into a $10 million reserve. The board could at any point decide where to dedicate that, more toward infrastructure, more toward any of the programs that are outlined in that second bucket. That would be up to the board. So we offer that and the details that are included in the agenda to get the board to have some discussion on it, and then to give us the direction of how you'd like us to proceed.
Okay, Commissioner, you'll over your end, but let me throw out a really simple
ma'am.
idea, because Commissioner Tobias had brought this up a while ago. So we're dealing with potentially $50 million here. My thought would be to take 40 of it and divide it among the districts for infrastructure projects, some of them laid out before us like those, and then take the other 10 million and distribute them through the districts. Or input some in reserves, but I know I want to put some more into the parks, as far as some projects we have going up there, as far as some things for outreach just for the community. But that's my thought, is to take the 40, divide it by 5 districts, and we can use it for our projects in our communities. I have a lot of water projects. And then take the other 10 million, have some discussion on what you guys want to do with that. But that's my thought. Commissioner Lober?
Okay, a few thoughts, and that's a really interesting way to go about it. I don't know that I'm necessarily opposed to that. I kind of came in here figuring if we don't exceed the sort of bare minimum recommendation from staff of 30 million toward infrastructure, then we're not doing our job. I know a lot of us, me included, campaign to get here on infrastructure as being one of the big things. And this is an opportunity for us to actually show our commitment to adhering to the campaign promises for once. So I think we need to look at really how much we can push in that direction. I think maybe 38 million was kind of the base number I was looking at. I could live very easily with 40 million. It's you know, I don't want to say it's a rounding error when we're talking about $2 million.
There's more projects. They just gave us some, but we could all, there's millions in our districts.
I could live with the 40 million portion. The 10 million, I don't know that I want to divvy that up district by district. And with respect to the 40 million, I would like staff to have a degree of input with respect to what the projects are. I don't think any of us are nuts with respect to how we'd spend it, but I still would like staff to have a hand in guiding how that money is spent within the districts. Because frankly, if I have some asinine idea with respect to how I'm going to spend 40 million to put up a a gold-plated road in District 2, I shouldn't be permitted to do that. I don't think any of us are going to do that, but I just would like to see some mechanism, if someone has a suggestion, to have not a check and balance necessarily, but at least staff retain a hand in directing which particular projects are most meritorious, or perhaps to give some options to the commissioner from which the commissioner can choose within their own district. Beyond that, though, a couple of other thoughts, and if folks don't want to do it, I respect that. I know that Commissioner Tabaya earlier in the meeting said at some point it's got to end or something along those lines with respect to the agenda item for the Complex Cafe. I don't know if we're interested in doing any form of small business relief. I'm totally okay looking at that and considering that with a period of money, or I should say a portion of the money. The other thing, and I'll just be fully candid with this, I don't know if it qualifies, but we may want to look at putting aside a relatively small amount that frankly isn't a small amount by itself, to fund a feasibility study to bring waste management functions in-house. So we do solid waste collection in-house potentially at the end of our current contract with Waste Management. It is more expensive, at least, than what I had anticipated it would cost. The numbers that I was given by staff after I requested they look into it, the numbers around $250,000. So it would be roughly $250,000 to fund a feasibility study. But I think that has a merit and a potential to help us tremendously in knowing what the options are and having a better position negotiating when all of us are off the commission in 6 years' time.
Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I like the 40 and 10, and I like the idea of dividing the 10 million, excuse me, the $10 million amongst the 5 of us. It's $2 million, Commissioner. And the 10 million, I relish the idea that I could spend that and target it for infrastructure. And I would be subject to doing the same with the extra 2 million. But that would give each of us that discretion that if you have something going on in your district that particularly like you're interested in the study, that would give you the $250,000 to do that. Or if somebody else had a particular pet project that would include some drainage ditch or something that needs to be done, that maybe wouldn't be warranted in the $40 million or passed over. It's just, it would be at the discretion of the commissioners. And if 1 or 2 or 3 of the commissioners said, I don't need that extra 2 million, let's just put it into the general fund so that we can do more infrastructure, that's okay too. So those are my thoughts.
Okay. Oh, Frank's waving his finger.
Yeah, if I could, what I'm hearing is that the 40 million would be split among the 5 districts, 8 million each for water or wastewater related projects. That's the infrastructure that we're talking about. Then the other 10 million, we actually have that in general revenue, which gives the board the freedom. So we would put that 10 million there, and you're going to have greater flexibility. So I believe that's what I'm hearing everybody saying. I just wanted to clarify that and make sure that we were all on the same page and that staff handles it appropriately, if that's what the motion is, and that's how the board moves forward.
Yes, sir. Mr. Zonka.
And that's what I would add. I mean, going through the infrastructure list, I realized that, we have big, expensive projects, but my district, compared to the multi-million-dollar projects in other districts, I'm going to at least ask that the board share in evening up those amounts so I can possibly get more. We have definitely some big road needs. I would like to be able to review my priorities and make it fair across the districts as far as
Yeah,
the
that's-
allocated amount.
And I believe, we can
Yeah.
do that. I think that would work as this public works projects that could qualify stormwater, water related, that I think we could qualify under
I
that
realize
section
I have
for you.
less county
Yeah.
coverage than the other districts, and there's great needs, and especially in North County, but I have some of the most highly traveled roads in my district, and I want to make sure that I'm taking care of those.
I like that.
So-
Are we allowed to use some on roads too?
Out of the 10 million, you would be.
Okay. Okay, so I know you have enough water and infrastructure projects to use that too. So, okay.
So with your scenario, you would have that $2 million at your discretion. And if you got a road or
I was
a
talking
drainage-
about this utility list. and-
Right, on the
yeah.
utility
We
list,
could have more
it would,
utilities.
it's water, and I believe stormwater is also included, so that's how we could get into, with the ditches and all to,
But I would like this divvied up fair across
Yeah.
the districts, because as it stands
Right.
right now, again, there's 2.5 million in District 5, 2 projects, as opposed to a significant, amount in other areas. And I just want that to be fair across the
oh,
district.
yeah, no, we're talking about 8 million going to each district.
Yeah.
And what would happen is if you didn't have water, wastewater projects, this is where it's going to be up to staff to look at it, depending on
same
where you
question.
allocate your resources. We may not need to use the general revenue replacement, which would give us the opportunity to change it and shift some dollars around, so that'll give you more flexibility. But we're looking at doing it as 8 million for each, and that's how we would allocate it.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay.
Okay?
Because I have some that aren't even on this list that need done.
Mhm.
I'm with you. Okay, I'm out of lights. I either need a motion or what do you guys want to do? Commissioner
Madam
Lober?
Chair, I just have one question.
Oh, yes,
Is
ma'am.
it the intent to process these as you did the CARES items that come back to the board for approval? Just for
I'm
clarification.
I'm fine with that.
I think
And,
that's a good
and I
idea.
think Commissioner Tobias brought up making sure that they were completely in line with how we're allowed to spend the money as well, which I thought was
Well,
good. and
Commissioner
is.
Lobers doesn't want us to build a gold-plated something.
Or platinum.
Platinum, whatever. So, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, so Commissioner Lober?
Okay, I'm happy to make the motion if you need a motion with respect to that. I just want to throw out there as well, we're dealing with this first half up front now, so to the degree that having a very high likelihood we're going to have a similar amount come in the future may change how you want to allocate it. I would just caution folks, you may want to bear that in mind, regardless of whether that changes where you are today or not. But if you'd like, I'll go ahead and make the motion to divvy up 40 million of the amount that we're discussing equally amongst the 5 districts, whereby staff in the appropriate department, whether it be utilities or otherwise, will work with the commission office to provide a list of projects along with estimated costs. The commission office will go through those items with staff, bring back what their proposals are to the county commission as a whole, and then we'll vote to approve them as soon as they're ready to do that. With respect to the remaining 10 million, though, I just want to make sure the motion has what you contemplate phrased correctly. We'll split that evenly amongst the 5 districts, and that will be used for, what's your preference in terms of how to phrase it, Chair Pritchett?
Well, I kind of already know what I'm going to do, but I think if we do that, then we can come back with what we're doing with it.
Okay, so maybe the best is we don't even address the 10 million now, we leave it alone.
Well, I'd like to go ahead and do 2 million per
Okay.
district. And
Okay,
then,
so okay, so the motion will include earmarking 2 million per district from the remaining 10 million that's being discussed, whereby commission districts will bring forth an agenda item or otherwise cause to come before the Board of County Commissioners, a discussion on how they intend or how they recommend using those funds within their respective districts.
that's good.
Fair
Might want
enough.
to do roads or whatever we're doing too. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's good. Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smith. All in favor? Are you trying to push the light, Commissioner
No,
Tobias?
ma'am.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. All right, we're moving into item J4. I'm on the right item, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Oops, that's Reaper. Okay,
It's my item, Madam.
this is yours.
Yes, Madam
Wonderful.
Chair.
Okay,
May I go ahead?
please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is dealing with the PACE program. This had come to our board previously, and we, by action 4-1, had authorized the program in Brevard County. I spoke with Chairman Randy Fine. He, of course, brought to my attention that in 2010, I voted for this to become statute. He is 100% correct. This was one vote that, quite frankly, was bad at the time. And I think I made a little bit of amends when it came up here and voted against it. He also wanted me to, this is a little strange starting giving the arguments on the other side before you present his, but I appreciate the work that he does for this county and certainly want all the information out there so we can make an informed decision. His point was that there was no cost to taxpayers. So I said that I certainly would include that. But I, on the other hand, am against this liberal Berkeley created program that is highly touted or was highly touted by President Obama. Our tax collector pointed out an individual who is having his property sold at tax auction, somebody that receives veterans benefits. So these are having consequences on our citizens. This program continues to grow. I provided everyone up here with the email correspondence that I received from the tax collector. As this program grows, unfortunately, I fear that those situations where people will lose their house will increase. This is not unusual. Two counties, both Hillsborough and Hernando, and I'll be more than willing to pass that out, have decided to go in a different direction and end their PACE program. My issues with this program are the same from the beginning. Unfortunately, the consequences now are being felt by individuals. This program allows a financing mechanism that jumps the first mortgage. This bastardizes the system and is unfair not only to individuals that aren't aware of the situation they're getting in, but quite frankly, they're not helping with the mortgage lending business. The individuals that make the first mortgage assume that in fact is their first mortgage. That is not happening. I also sent out, of course, that video that was humorous, but also I believe somewhat informative about many of the contractors here that are selling this system, but don't have the wherewithal to explain it in such a way that lenders who provide mortgages do. So for all these reasons, and maybe there's a middle ground here, but now that we have an individual that will be losing his house because of this, I think that this is something that we need to look for. We need to change because this problem is only going to get larger, and we see what's happening across the state and certainly in other counties. So I'd like to see where everyone is on this. If there is a middle ground, if you want to continue with this, if you want to look at it again in 12 months to see if this is something that the state takes care of, and in fairness, Representative or Chairman Fine has put in a bill this past year that, though did not pass, put some additional measures on this that would hopefully help stem some of these problems. Unfortunately, it did not pass. So I wanted to see where everyone is on this issue and decide whether or not this is a good idea to go in a different direction, put some additional restrictions on it, or are we comfortable with people losing their homes because of this program?
Mr. Tobias, I gotta kind of piggyback on that because I voted for this last time, and I wish I hadn't have. And not that it's not doesn't have potential being a good program, but I didn't kick in the accounting brain that if you get a loan, you have a homestead, as a matter of fact, with your home that protects you, as you talked about with your first mortgage, make sure that's covered. But when you do this and you have a tax lien, you lose that ability to keep your home if you run into a problem. So you're right. Although nobody's lost it yet, there is a possibility for a lot of people to lose their houses. And if you got to take out a tax lien to do something because nobody will give you a loan for it, it kind of shows you can't pay it back. So I wish now I hadn't voted in favor of it. I hope the people that benefited from it, were able to afford it, have done well with it. But I'm not going to be supporting continuing this either. But I do have 7 cards. But Commissioner Lober, your light's on as well, sir.
A couple thoughts, and first, Commissioner Tobias, I have to do this to you because you do this to us. The rest of us almost all the time when we have something like this. You know, this liberal Berkeley created, I think you said Obama touted program was not only approved by you in your then capacity as a state representative, but by a solidly Republican legislature. In fact, it's my understanding based on a conversation, I presume with the same state rep that you spoke with, that every Republican in attendance voted to approve this program. And we're supposed to be a commission of how many Republicans? 5 Republicans. So now that I've done my obligatory chastising of you, my due diligence, as Commissioner Smith says, I'll get to the meat of it. So to me, this program is one that enables folks who otherwise might not be able to have things like working air conditioning during our molten Florida summer to have working AC. People oftentimes will lose their homes if they don't pay their mortgages. We don't ban mortgages as a result. If you wanted to come back, or if you're ready now to introduce some form of consumer protection, whether it's in the form of a disclosure that's obligatory or otherwise, I'm happy to look at that. I may well support you for it, but I'm just generally disinclined to start abridging freedom of contract because of a small number of bad actors that we can deal with separately, either through some form of consumer protection or through some penalty mechanism if they're found to be acting in some fashion that we preclude. But I can't strike the program as a whole on account of the fact that a small number of individuals may not be conducting themselves in a fashion that we're able to mandate that they conduct themselves. But that's where I'm at.
Thank you, sir. We go ahead and call cards. I have Mr. Rich Workman.
First, great. Thank you very much, Commissioner. Appreciate that.
How are you doing? Good to see you. Haven't seen you around in a while.
Nice. Yeah, I've been just teaching middle school up in your neck of the woods, like right down the street.
Really?
Yeah, ma'am, at Jackson Middle.
Are you really? What
U.S.
classes?
history, molding and shaping young minds.
All right.
This Canadian teaches U.S. history, so I can say it before Commissioner Tobias does. Thank you for giving my 3 minutes. Thank you for that, sir. Mr. Tobias, thank you for bringing this up, and thank you for not only voting for it in 2010, but being a co-sponsor of that mighty fine bill in the Tallahassee. And you know what? I can't hold him accountable. You look back and you're like, why did I vote for that? I get you, John. That's okay. But, 4 years ago when I came up to talk about this, I think I said it then, I'll say it again. I hate debating Commissioner John Tobias because I think of myself as a pretty good conservative. And then you walk away from a debate with him and you realize, well, I'm an Obama liberal. John has a line in the sand that I admire. His line in the sand is if it takes government interference in any way, then it shouldn't. Then you shouldn't have to do it. My line in the sand is if it doesn't affect your neighbor, if it's between you and the government, and there's no cost to my neighbor, no cost to other taxpayers, then that's my line. And so when you consider that 2,000 folks have hardened their roofs, hardened their windows, in some cases ACs, things that protect us as a neighborhood in a hurricane, and very few complaints. And there's always the ability to fix it. The gentleman we're talking about, when that complaint came forward, the company that he got his PACE loan from has paid that off as of, I think, yesterday, conveniently before the committee meeting, but that's what was brought to their attention. I would say instead of throwing this out, if you're generally concerned, and I know John is, and I know many of you are, Randy Fine put forward a tremendous bill with huge protections. Many of the PACE have already implemented some things. Put it on them. Put it on them. They have a contract with the Green Corridor, right? Each one of them will be held accountable to that. In a year from now or 6 months, when we look at it again, if they're not living up to the new standards, people are still being deceived or hurt. You can fire that PACE provider. There's 3 or 4 of them in the county. You can look at it and say, you know what? You're not doing the job. You have 8, 9, 10 people that shouldn't have received it based on state law. You're no longer allowed to do it in Brevard. Or if it's more than that, then you can reconsider. But I don't think that 1 or 2 or even 10 out of 2,000 is a reason to ditch it altogether at this point. But it is a reason, because every person matters, to look at it again and maybe put in some increased. You hear my voice? I'm nervous. I haven't done this in a long time.
You're very
Guys, I
enjoyable.
appreciate your time today. I really do. I appreciate you seeing me and talking to me in the last couple of weeks. And I know you do the right thing.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chris Peterson?
Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Chris Peterson. I represent the Florida PACE Funding Agency and Fortify Financial, PACE provider here in Florida. And I've been in this industry a long time, and to say that it's evolved is an understatement. Over the last several years, all of the CEOs of these companies have been replaced with financial professionals. Before, to Mr. Tobias' point, there were some folks that were policy, clean energy folks in those positions. When these CEOs were replaced, the very first thing they did was implement a set of consumer protection standards. And it's the first thing, and I believe the only thing, that all of these CEOs have actually ever agreed upon. But these protections, and these are the same ones that the Representative Fine ran in his bill, that unfortunately did fall short this session, but we've already implemented these standards. As of today, and as of the last year and a half, 2 years, we've been implementing these, and it is a completely different industry. We analyze ability to pay. We do do a confirmed term calls for all of the assessments. Anytime an applicant applies, we go and we call them on a recorded line and we go over each of the terms to ensure that this makes sense and that this is for them. And if it's not, we'd much rather find out today than years down the road. And again, ability to pay, we look at we do a inspection for all of the properties. Once the improvements have been installed, we'll go back and ensure and verify that they actually were installed so that there's not fraud perpetrated by contractors, which has been something we've seen from time to time in the past. It does not happen anymore whatsoever. Rather than getting rid of this program that actually allows a financing mechanism for folks to be reinsured for their roofs and to protect their homes from wind harm their homes from weather events, we recommend that you implement these consumer protections, get everybody on the same page, put this standard in place that we're already all doing to ensure that we have transparency and have all the expectations aligned. Everybody knows what we're expected to do. And I think the results are going to speak for themselves. Anything that you've seen in the past, it's just, these aren't things that are happening anymore because of the way that we've implemented these standards. So again, I'm here to answer any questions you may have, but I urge you to consider moving towards a consumer protection document rather than just get rid of this very important financing mechanism.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Miss Amy Elliott?
Hi, I'm Amy. I'm a Y-Green rep here in Brevard. I apologize, I couldn't get any of my contractors here. I found out about this meeting yesterday at 2, and I was in between meetings in Lee County, so I wasn't able to get anybody here. But I wanted to come myself and talk about this and talk about the John Oliver Show. I helped bring PACE to Florida 2009 and 10. I remember the vote. I remember actually being involved with organizations like BOMA, Sierra Club, Chamber of Commerce, Associated Industries. We worked with everybody because if you remember 2009 and 10, we'd had a huge real estate collapse. Banks stopped lending. People were losing their homes. People had lost their jobs. There was no money in the community to do these improvements. And in fact, last year, at the beginning of the pandemic, we were in the same situation. I had so many contractors calling me, and the first thing they would tell me is the score of the FICO score that they could not get funded or couldn't get financing for. We've been open the entire time. We took our entire staff, made them all work from home so that we could be here. And we've been here from day one in 2010 to now, making sure that people can get their improvements done. I wanted to talk about some of the myths because there are so many of them. We do a lot of work in the community. I actually brought my daughter here. She goes to Eastern. We stayed in the apartment last night. What they keep saying at PACE is that it's a bunch of people coming in, knocking on doors, taking advantage of people, seniors, people that don't speak English as a first language. That's what I keep hearing over and over and over again. As I'm helping people that don't speak English as a first language, as I'm helping people with problems that they have in their projects. So I want to read off a couple of the myths and explain actually what is going on. PACE is seen as a program for poor people. It's not. It's for anybody that doesn't have thousands of dollars sitting around waiting to go to do their roof or their HVAC system. People like me that have 2 kids in college, one son who's 15 who can't wait to drive. I've got bills and I don't have $8,000 for my HVAC system. We have people that now are obligated to get new roofs. They don't have the money, but the insurance companies are making them repair roofs after 10 years. And now they're struggling to figure out how am I going to pay for $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. People that use this program, they're not all completely clueless. A lot of them actually are very savvy with credit. I had a woman who wanted to get a pool and she had saved and her credit was great. She wanted to get this pool and the AC broke. She didn't want to use the credit for the AC because that would have hurt her chance of getting the pool. So instead, she got the AC with the house through PACE and still got her pool done with the credit. So PACE lets you be flexible. We're not predatory. That's one of the things that people keep saying. And we've got permits, we've got maximum pricing guidelines, we have welcome calls, we have all kinds of stuff. And I'm running out of time, so I'm just going to read a quote from one of our property owners here.
I'm sorry, ma'am,
You're out of time.
Yeah,
I
thank
can
you.
provide the quote if anybody needs it.
Thank
But thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you. Ms. Jennifer Rojo? If I say that right.
Good morning.
State your name and address, ma'am.
Yes, Jennifer Rojo Suarez. I am with Renew Financial, one of the PACE providers. I am myself based in Miami, Florida, but I am the Government Affairs Director for Renew Financial here in the state of Florida. And again, good morning to everyone, Chair, Commissioners. I'm here to talk about item J4. As part of our routine underwriting process, we use both automated technologies and manual processes to screen a property owner's tax history to ensure the program requirements are met prior to approval. Each of the over 200 applications that we funded here in Brevard County, we go through that and look through those processes with all that, as well as the assessment that that was mentioned earlier. When gaps in our processes are rare, but when we do identify them, we roll out additional training and procedures to help eliminate future reoccurrences. We strive for 100 success rate, and when there's a problem, we go ahead and investigate it and fix it. In regards again to the homeowner that was mentioned earlier, Renew Financial is committed to working with homeowners when a temporary hardship strikes, so that if there is a missed PACE payment, it does not stop them from getting back on their feet. We have a hardship assistance program that if the criteria is met, we make the PACE assessment on the homeowner's behalf without requiring repayment. And again, the homeowner that we just learned of, we did not know of what was going on in that sense, but as soon as we were alerted just yesterday in regards to that consumer, we went ahead and paid off, and we're in the process of doing that right now. We are not, of course, we are here, Renew Financial or PACE is here to help homeowners, storm hardening, resiliency. We do not want somebody to have a hardship, right? So if that is the case, we want to help those homeowners. And as in the case of this homeowner, we are looking, we're going in the process right now to go ahead and pay that assessment for that homeowner. I know we have a few seconds here, but again, it is our commitment to protect homeowners, and we ask that you please don't repeal PACE, and we hope that we can continue to work together to add more consumer protections, because we do believe that this program is a great program for all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ms. Kate Wessner? You can put them up here, ma'am. We'll pass them right down for you. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Kate Wessner, Y Green Energy Fund. I was before you in 2018 asking you to approve this program. At that time, we had begun to make improvements to our program, and our consumer protections are a big part of that. Since then, since we came to you in 2018, we have adopted a suite of consumer protections that include disclosures for property owners, the right to cancel, 3-day right to cancel, confirmed terms call, which some of my colleagues talked about. That means we call the homeowner and verify they've received the financing documents. We go over the terms, make sure they understand that it is on their tax bill, how they repay that, either through their escrow or directly to the tax collector. We address a number of different things with them. It's about a 15 to 20-minute call. It's not automated. It is a live human. It is very dynamic, where we ask questions where they have to answer, not just yes or no. And so we've done this because we've heard feedback from other counties, which Commissioner Tobias referenced, that this program didn't have those consumer protections. So we have made improvements. This program has evolved quite a bit since I joined this industry. And I think we've helped a lot of consumers in your area, small businesses, homeowners, commercial and residential property owners use this. I know some of them have contacted you individually. And I did provide a list of every homeowner that's done a survey that gave us their satisfaction rate. So whether it was their experience with their contractor or experience with Y-Green, I provided that in there in their words. So if there's grammatical errors or spelling errors, that is authentic. And you'll see their honest reviews of how this program worked for them. So I think 77 property owners voluntarily gave us their survey results. If any of them fall below a 7 out of a 10, our CEO directs that we call them and find out what the issue is and how to resolve it. We take consumer satisfaction, our homeowners very seriously. The goal of this program is to keep people in their homes, not to lose their homes. That's why we want you to have a new roof, impact windows, AC, so you're not out on the street, right? You're able to withstand the next storm or stay in your home when the AC goes out. So, we're really proud of what we've done in your community. Y-Green here has done about 1,000 projects over 4 years, and this program has continued to grow. Many businesses in your community use this program, and they've called us and said, what's the issue? And I said, please contact your commissioners, express how this program helps you and helps your clients. So I hope you'll take that away from this today. And we will work with you on improving consumer protections, whether it's through an ordinance or an addendum to our interlocal agreements. But, we want to keep this program alive, and however we can do that and working with you all, we're open to that. So thank you all. And I'll stay in case you all have questions.
Thank you, ma'am. I have Mr. Scott Case.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Scott Case. I live in Palm Bay. I'm a lifelong Brevard resident, also the sales manager with Superior One Roofing. We do roofing in Brevard, Osceola, Orange, and Indian River counties. We do work with Pace and Y-Green quite a bit for consumers that are credit challenged, but need a new roof. Right now, we seem to be at the mercy of insurers. They're calling the shots on ages of roofs. So these folks that are taking advantage of the program now, sometimes they don't have a choice. They're not financing pools or some luxury item. This is a roof to keep them insured. I think that what you're going to see is the insurers that now they seem to be at 15 years where they're saying this is the cutoff point for a roof. I don't know if that's going to change, but if it does, we're going to see typically, if you can't get a roof, the mortgage company is going to put you with an insurer of last resort. That's going to double to triple the rate of insurance costs that added onto a mortgage. So, basically, you're endangering their mortgage and their home and putting it at risk of foreclosure anyway if they don't get a roof. What the program does, and honestly, I was a realtor for 18 years. I sold over 1,400 homes. I've dealt with a ton of mortgage brokers. Very few of them had the capacity and the program in place that Y-Green and the PACE program does to explain this in a way that the consumer can understand it. And I would ask that the commissioners please maybe call Kate, go through the process as a consumer would, have it explained to you over the phone. They got a great team. As a sales manager, the folks that I deal with and my team, they don't explain this program. There's a nice video that we send out to the consumer if they care to log on and put an application in. One of the team members from Y-Green or PACE will call them. As the previous speaker said, it's a recorded call. They walk it through, do the call, find out if those protections that you're looking for are in place already before you make a decision on this. I'm on the ground. I see these people face to face. I've seen the folks with tears in their eyes saying, oh my God, I couldn't get a roof any other way. I don't want to prey on your heart or pluck your heartstrings here. This is about people getting things done in a time that we're all financially challenged. And I would just ask that you look at it from a consumer standpoint and see that the protections that are in place already suffice. If not, maybe come up with a different plan, something, but please keep the program. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, that's the end of public comment cards. I'll close public comment. Commissioners, Commissioner Tobias.
Thank you, Madam Chair. All of these PACE providers claim they have protections in place, but
You're done.
they're
Don't put that on Commissioner
they're
Lovett.
self-assessed. There's no penalty, and clearly people are falling through the cracks. We had one individual, and if you sit up here and say, "Hey, listen, we just wasted 20 minutes of time," well, first of all, every darn lobbyist for PACE, came into Brevard County, paid gas tax, got lunch, all that good nonsense. But second of all, we have somebody that probably served our country and who was preyed upon by not by Y Green, because Renew, who got that fixed. So there is an individual here. I don't know where anyone is on this one, but there may be a middle ground here, and that is some of the protections that they mentioned, maybe more, could be added. We could add them to the interlocal agreement and then assess that 6 or probably 12 months from now and look at to see if they're following that, and if there are more issues of people losing their houses. I'm good with that. I'm also good with doing away from the program for the same reason that I mentioned before, because quite simply, this is, as Chair Pritchett mentioned, these folks can't get loans. And the fact that the government is backing a loan is probably not in the best interest of either them or us. So either way, if you want to go with the middle ground, I certainly would ask that we put people together. That would be some of the industry, some folks that want to regulate the industry a little bit more, like Chairman Fine. I'm sure he would be more than willing to sit down with that. And maybe some folks that are experts on the assessment, like the tax collector's office, and seeing if we can put down some things in that ordinance or interlocal, and certainly some penalties should they not follow. This is like having a speed limit and saying, well, if you go over the speed limit, we're not really going to fine you. And unfortunately, that's what's happening here. So there needs to be some penalties in place. I understand the legislature's trying to do it, but Chairman Fine only can pass 90% of his bills, not 100%. This is one I would have liked to have seen pass. So I'm wherever, or if you guys want to continue with this program the way it is, just understand that this problem is only going to get larger. So those are the options here. I wanted this discussion, and I appreciate everyone taking time, because I know I mentioned a lot of this stuff before, for you hearing this again.
Commissioner Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And while I'm not quite the orator of Rich Workman or Commissioner Lober, I will attempt to state my thoughts on this. When I first heard this was coming up and I heard the horror stories, I thought, wow, we got to protect these poor people that are being taken advantage of. But like most issues, it has two sides. And I listened to and read, and then I saw the numbers, and I think there's been 13 cases in this county where people feel like they've been taken advantage of or have had a problem. But I think that there's been some things that have occurred that tighten up the situations so that those events wouldn't occur again. That's one. And two, that's 13 out of 600 plus. So they've got a pretty good track record. If you're talking about percentage wise, and that's over my head too, it's a very small percentage that have been affected. So I'm looking at this thing, and I know that there are people out there that need roofs, that would like to have impact windows, that would like to have solar. All those improvements would qualify under PACE. And PACE offers them affordable financing to get those things done, whereas they might not be able to do it any other way. It allows these people to improve the value of their homes. It increases the resiliency of their homes. It gives them a measure of peace when a hurricane or a major storm comes, knowing they've got a new roof or impact windows. Um, It also creates lots of jobs, as this gentleman, and I'm sorry, I don't remember your name, but as he mentioned, it puts an awful lot of people to work as well. And it gives them jobs that may not be available otherwise because the people couldn't get financing. So I think that's an important issue. I would guess it's created millions, maybe even billions to our economy with those 600 cases that we have in this county. And it's regrettable that we've had 13 people that have not fared so well. But again, I think from the people I've talked to, most of those issues have been tightened up so it wouldn't happen again. And we've just heard from one lady here that said that they're going to take care of that. So that person isn't going to be negatively impacted from here on out. So it seems to me that there are a lot of protections in place. It offers an awful lot of positives to people that couldn't otherwise improve their homes. So my bottom line issue is, let's not throw out the baby with the bathwater. If there's some kind of a middle ground that we can reach that Commissioner Tobias would be happy with, I'm 100% behind that. So I'm not going to vote to do away with this because I certainly don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Commissioner Lober.
And I'll just circle back to what I said kind of at the beginning of this item. If you want to introduce some sort of consumer protections, bring them forth. If you're ready to put together a group, I think you proposed one consist of a representative from one of the constitutional offices and some other individuals. If you want to make that proposal tonight, we can put the group together, kind of give them a general outlay of what it is we're looking for them to come up with, and then have it come back to the commission. If you'd prefer to sort of do that independently and come back, however you want to do it. I'm not opposed to putting protections in place that are reasonable and appropriate, but I just can't do away with it on account of some folks having had a bad experience, even if it wasn't their fault. To me, unless someone's legally prohibited from entering into a contract, if they're adjudicated incompetent or something like that, different story. But by and large, if someone wants to enter into a contract that perhaps you or I wouldn't necessarily enter into, that's their right. I might discourage them from doing it in a particular instance, but I don't know that it's my place to tell someone that they shouldn't enter into a particular contract where they have the ability to do due diligence on it, where they're not, certainly in the bulk of the cases, anything approaching predatory practices. If there's a concern that there are some small number that are predatory or that are misleading the public, then help us come up with some solutions in terms of what we can require of them to sort of offset that risk or to eliminate that risk. And I'll probably be right there with you. But as Commissioner Smith said, I'm not ready to throw out the baby with bathwater, certainly not today.
Okay, let me throw out just a couple thoughts, and I don't know where their interest rates are on. I think the avenue of this is kind of what hangs me up. So if you have a mortgage on a house and you go take out another loan and you renege on that loan, they can't take your house if you're paying your mortgage. Same as if you're in trouble with the law, by the way, but I'm not going to teach you that lesson. But so that's kind of the thing. But when you do this and you end up with a tax lien, they can sell your house off to pay your taxes. So that's kind of where it kind of hangs a little bit. So my question is this truly affordable, or is it just sure financing because it goes on the tax rolls and they know they're going to be able to take the house as some type of collateral if it gets hung up on? So that's my question is I don't know how you're running these loans. I don't know what the interest rates are. I don't know if they are, I don't know. I just don't know if they're fair. But since we have so many people that are struggling, it's like when we had the great housing boom and everybody was buying houses and they couldn't afford those either. They were still given the loans. So I'm still siding with Commissioner Tobias on this, but I think maybe I need a better education on what those things are. And if they're not in place, there are things that definitely need to be in place. I don't know what your interest rates are, but there should be a cap on them. And so that we know that the consumer who might be in a place that really is desperate to get some money, that there is some protections in place for them, because that's why we have these protections in place. So, and then my other thing is if we're going to do these, they should maybe be for house sustaining projects, roof and ACs. I'm not sure I agree that solar panels should be bought with these or windows, because if they can't afford to get a loan for those things, they're not things that absolutely makes their ability to live in the home. Sustainable, I'm probably not real comfortable with that either, because I think this is risky for the consumer. And it has to be, otherwise you would just go get a competitive market loan. So that's my thought on it, but commissioners, what is your pleasure? Mr. Tobias?
Madam Chair, will you give me 6 months here to meet with these folks and bring back a proposal that integrates many of the suggestions that were brought here? And if you have any, because of sunshine, just throw them in a board report. But I certainly will get with Chairman Fine on this one, because I know that, he's a fan of the program, but also he understands that there needs to be regulation on board for consumer protection on this one. So if you're good with that, I would be more than willing to lead that, charge. And again, please bring this up at any meeting. I'm more than willing to integrate that one that you just mentioned about solar panels is one I hadn't thought of, but certainly is a very good idea and one that I certainly will move forward with. So again, thank you guys for taking the time. There's certainly one gentleman out there that fell through the cracks, and our time here definitely helped him out quite a bit.
Okay, I have one card that got tucked in with the J5. Is Mr. Ryan Bartkis. Did you want to speak still?
I'll let you guys, if we're at 6 months, I'm good.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Smith?
Yeah, I would go for that. If you wanted 6 months to tighten up anything that you find that is detrimental to someone that's, again, I would remind everybody that we're only talking about 13 out of 600 plus. So it's not like it's a lot of predators out there preying on unsuspecting homeowners. So, but I think that there's room for improvement. And if you guys can come up with something that would make you feel better without being overly onerous to either side, I'm certainly in favor of that. And as far as solar panels go, well, I'm a big fan of solar. My last month's bill was $26.11, and the one before that was $9. So solar panels save people a lot of money.
You can afford them.
And right, and so if somebody can otherwise afford them, but can afford them with this, then I don't see that that's a bad investment.
I just don't want anyone to lose, Madam Chair, I just don't want anyone to lose their house because they have pretty solar panels and a low yeah.
Right.
So that's, and you and I already got subsidized when we put up those solar panels because
Right.
we got a 30% rebate from the federal government. But either way, I think we're all on the same page
But
here.
I would also remind you and everybody else that we're dealing with adults here, and we need to have protections in place for people that might be preyed on. But the other side of that coin is they are adults and they're quite capable of making decisions based on the information that they're given. So if they want solar panels and they want to use this loan, I don't see that there's a downside for them. It's up to them.
Madam Chair, it was this board, though, that gave the authority for those contracts to take place. Had this board not taken that action, then the legislature decided that might have been the one good thing in 2010, the bill allowed us to authorize the program. So short of us authorizing the program, this wouldn't have become available because of course this is on the tax
Right,
bill.
and
But
you
again,
wouldn't-
I think we're all on the same page. I think we ended up in the same place, and I will bring back again just for if there are any suggestions, please bring them to any meeting. I'm more than willing to integrate this, not only good for the industry, but good for the consumer. Again, thank you so much for this time, and I'll bring back a work product here in 6 months.
Yeah, I don't want to repeat most of the things that you said, but I think Commissioner Lober and Commissioner Smith hit the nail on the head. I mean, if we put protections in place, we would make people, have to clear it through us before they sign a car note. Because again, with anything, there's a risk. And it's sad to say that people did fall through, or someone did fall through the cracks. But I mean, we have to assume that people know what they're signing when they sign up for a loan. I like the idea of a disclosure to be filed with, I don't know if it's filed with us, if it's filed with the tax collector, but I like the idea of that so they understand the terms. I have no problem with consumer protections to put in place, but I know if someone had helped out that couldn't afford an air conditioner, newly single mom, that she was able to get a PACE loan and it helped her out significantly. not here locally, but in Florida. So I know that it's helped the right people, and they have to be able to pay the loan back. So, or they wouldn't even qualify. So I'm a fan of the program, and if we need to make a few tweaks to make people more comfortable with it, I'm good with that.
Okay, so Commissioner Tobias, you're just going to bring something back in about 6 months, correct, sir?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you for the
All right.
opportunity.
Thank you. We're going to move to item G5. Yeah. Sir?
Are you ready, Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. October 1st, Commissioner Lover introduced an item seeking an identical program to the one that is here. In May of this year, after repeated complaints, Commissioner Lover reintroduced the item. It failed 2-3. So you ask, why am I doing this again? Because now we have data to back up the statements that were put forth. I've passed out a graph. I attached this graph to the agenda item. Guys, we've gone above, or staff has gone above and beyond by opening the landfills to a larger time, so waste management would have more opportunities. And if you look clearly, waste management is getting worse. They weren't good to begin with, and they're getting worse. And we've brought it up. I don't want to say we've made threats or ultimatums. We just said we are going to exercise parts of the contract. The exact same way Waste Management exercised parts of the contract when they pulled out of it to receive a 39% increase. So everything that was requested by Commissioner Lober was what Waste Management argued for. Keep in mind, I don't want to have to go over this again, but Waste Management is not a mom and pop company. Their CEO last year made $12.4 million. The year before that, they made $11.8 million. This is a large company that pays their employees an absolute ton of money that can afford to pick up the trash that we contract with them. And we need to exercise the contract when they don't meet that standard. Again, I don't want to have to go over this, but it's not up there, and I probably should have added it. The number of verified missed pickups over the last couple months has more than doubled. This is getting worse. So I would ask that we exercise this part of the contract and authorize staff to create and implement a program with formalized procedures, incentivizing reporting of future solid waste collection items and delays with payment to parties reporting legitimate complaints. Direct staff to verify, claim, and withhold maximum justifiable liquidation damages valued allowed under the county's contract with Waste Management until further direction of the BOCC. Lastly, authorize the chair to execute all documents necessary for these changes. So should you... Sorry. My bad. Thank you. Again, these were verified missed pickups. These are not complaints. These are ones that have been verified by county staff. You can see that they're increasing.
Okay, Commissioner Lober?
Commissioner Tobias, I think this is hardly going to be a surprise to you. I think you can guess very easily where I am with this particular agenda item. I do want to add a thought that came to me actually mulling over your agenda item here today. You know, you'd mentioned a few moments ago that they're hardly a mom and pop shop. The 39% increase. I've had constituents ask me where that money is going, and my latest answer to them is, I don't know where all of it's gone, but I know where some of it's gone. I actually learned about this through county staff that it appears that there was quite a bit of lobbying done by the waste collection industry to amend Chapter 403 of Florida statutes. I'm shocked that we haven't had many news articles or really hardly any news articles on this. What matters, and really the operative portion, from what I gather, is that it would require us giving Waste Management in this case 3 years of notice before terminating our contract with them. And we'd be obligated to pay them, and I'm going to quote right out of the statutory text, an amount equal to the company's preceding 18 months gross receipts for the displaced service in the displaced area. So we would have to give them 3 years of notice and pay them 18 months of their gross earnings in order to get rid of them. This totally not only denigrates home rule, nukes home rule, but it also frankly interferes with freedom of contract, which, as you gathered from the last agenda item, is something that I feel strongly about. Frankly, it is one of the least capitalistic laws or amendments to a law that I've seen come out of Tallahassee, and it's an incredible disappointment that our legislature thought that was something that was appropriate to put in place. But I can tell you that my level of complaints from my constituents is at an all-time high with respect to Waste Management. Well, I do appreciate Waste Management appearing to do what they can do on a case-by-case basis and helping some of these folks with respect to addressing the missed pickups. They shouldn't be occurring in the first place. And instead of spending money on lobbying to screw the consumers and to screw the constituents here and to basically extend the middle finger to home rule, that same amount of money should have been used to increase the wages to a more competitive level and actually get drivers. I get that Amazon is a problem for them. I get that it's not as sexy and glamorous to drive around a green truck, even if, you know, green is a lovely color, as it is perhaps to be the cool guy dropping off gizmos and quadcopters for kids to enjoy at the holidays. I get that. But the problem is, with any amount of money being spent on lobbying, that money has an opportunity cost. And if they have problems picking up and servicing the areas that they're obligated to pick up and service, all of the lobbying money should be going to that instead. So you understand where I'm at. I'm not going to repeat what I've said in prior meetings. I'm certainly supportive of this.
Thank you. Commissioner Lober, I think your district and my district's kind of been hit the hardest with a lot of mess. So I had called our manager a while ago and told him that I'm about like here. If you would just let them know, I'm going to give them 60 days to kind of get this turned around. And I think the end of that 60 days is August 20. I know there's problems with getting staff. I know this is statewide, but here's my problem is my community is just getting jerked around. You know, I have calls continually. I took the garbage down. They didn't pick it up for 4 days. And it's just uncomfortable. So I get it, but I think you're in over your heads. So I don't know how to fix all that. I think I don't know. I don't know. I think you're going to have to invest more money, get more drivers, or we need to renegotiate a contract. But I think I'm going to agree to a maximum penalty as of August 20. I'm hoping that you get something settled by then. I think that we're going to hear from you. I have some cards as well. But either that, or I think you guys need to come up and renegotiate a new contract, probably for less money of what you can do. I don't think you're going to pull this off. And I know it's a big job, but I just can't have my community keep putting things out and just continually calling me saying that it's a week later, they haven't picked it up. And there's whole streets, and I know you're trying. No doubt in my mind you are trying, because this is a difficult job. But something's got to be done with the fix. Someone's got to have to come up with an idea and figure something out. I know 1 day a week isn't popular, but maybe that's where we need to go. So at least they know they're getting their garbage picked up that 1 day, and this contract drastically reduces in cost. I'm probably not comfortable in picking up funds to pay the people that complain. I don't think that's a good idea. I think that initiates a whole nother thing that I don't want to deal with. So I think if we impose this, I want the payments to go to the county to stay in a fund so that when we go to negotiate a new contract later, it'll be there to help, or if you guys come up with something different. But that's my thinking on it right now, but I definitely don't mind getting more education. Commissioner Smith.
Do we have cards?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to hear the cards before I speak.
Yes, sir, and I will keep your light on. Mr. Nathan Slusher.
Good morning. My name is Nathan Slusher at 860 Allendale Street in Titusville. First of all, I want to make it crystal clear that I understand there's an issue between the county and the waste management. My only specific issue is the incentive, and I'm strictly here to speak for the citizens' behalf, not on the contract. Reading through the legislative text, I'd like to believe that this proposal is written with good intentions to only hold Waste Management accountable after the increase in the contract. At first glance, the proposal seems great for the citizens, but it does fall short in a few areas that concern me. Fiscal impact, first, is quoted as unknowable. We're just supposed to agree with it and move forward and hope that it never costs the taxpayer a dime. Not even a guess is attributed. Worst case scenario, it's not even put on there. So unknowable should always be a red flag. I pulled the US Census data to find out how many houses we're actually talking about. I don't have Waste Management's specific number, but according to the census, there's 90,000 roughly houses in unincorporated Brevard. So if we only have 300 missed, that's 0.0003% as a problem. And I'm sure it may be more. I'm sure there's plenty that are unverified, but it seems to be a very, very small issue. The plan to withhold it is not applicable to rentals. It specifically states in the text that we're not going to apply this to rentals. And if somebody who rents a house, which is 25.7% of our entire county, has a missed pickup, the landlord gets money instead of the people with the trash. Back payments are proposed all the way back to August of 2020. And my point with the incentives is that if something goes wrong and Waste Management goes to court and wins, then the taxpayers pick up all the cost. That is my fear, is that something goes wrong, the county loses, Waste Management wins, and now the taxpayers have to pay. That's my biggest issue with the entire thing. And I want to reemphasize, I do believe it was built, the plan was built to hold them accountable, but I really want to take a look at the cost it could possibly affect the citizens if something were to go wrong. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Sandra Sullivan?
Sandra Sullivan, South Patrick Shores, as a community leader in unincorporated on Beachside, there's a lot of residents that don't know where to report. And I would strongly urge the county to have an online reporting. A lot of people use their phones and apps. It's much easier to just plug something in, their address, and put in information in a centralized place. Right now, they don't know whether to, where to go on the county site to where to report missed pickup. I find I end up doing it on our Facebook page for our community when I see people talking about it. We have recently had our trash sit for 4 days on our street, on multiple streets. There is a degradation of service. Amother aspect that concerns me as well is there was a recent Florida Today article talking about if you have a wash machine size amount of yard waste that you have to call it in now. And that's exceedingly inconvenient from what we've done in the past. My yard on a weekly basis generates that much yard waste. So that's a degradation in service from my perspective, and a pretty big one if I have to call in like every week or every other week, to have my yard waste picked up. So far, they've continued to pick it up as normal, but that is a concern for us with our yard waste. And I would not be in favor of the residents getting money for submitting complaints. I think it should go to the county. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Gregory Galetha? George Glecko. Oh, George. George, your G looks like a Y. How are you doing? Good to see your friendly face, sir.
Sorry about the shaky handwriting. Age is starting to catch up with me.
I understand.
Good morning. For the record, my name's George Glutko from Suntree. I wish to share a few thoughts with you today regarding the county's solid waste and recycling program. We are in uncharted waters with the China pandemic. No one asked for this. It impacts all of us negatively. We live in a great nation with free elections. We elect you into office to guide us as a society through difficult times. to support us and its industries that provide us with quality of life in a time of need such as now. In Brevard County, our population is over 610,000. Waste management touches well over 100,000 residents and commercial businesses a week. That's garbage twice weekly, recycling once weekly, yard waste once weekly, bulk waste once weekly, bulk trash once weekly, white goods, electronics, and cart repair weekly, commercial businesses from 1 time to 6 times per week. We have a potential of 2 million touches a month. 400 to 600 issues may be logged per month. Many are for service requests. Many are residents' non-compliance issues, and some are weather-related, mechanical issues, or traffic incidents in the last year, COVID-related. 200. When you look at the number of issues that come in on a monthly basis, you're looking at 5 decimal points of 1%. Although our government started out with good intentions, it extended into an employment nightmare. All industries are suffering today. You are government. You can help by enforcing your own collection rules you negotiated in the contract. The slippery slope. Creating incentives to complain. Not enforcing your own contract collection rules. Educating the general public.
I'm sorry, George, your time's up. Ms. Commissioner Tobias?
Yep. Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple questions about this China pandemic, how it's negatively impacted and everyone's suffering. I pulled your SEC filings. Last quarter, revenues were up 185 million in your company. Can you explain how you're suffering? Your words, not mine. And according to SEC filings, again, yours, not mine, you were up 185 million.
Let me explain it to you this way, Commissioner. 6 companies in 2013 attended a pre-bid meeting. 3 submitted proposals. Only 1 company committed to a $50 million capital investment to help the county to reach its goal.
Sir, that isn't my question. My question
Let
is.
me finish my statement, please.
If you answer my question, you're more than welcome to.
I'm answering your question.
You made $185 million
I'm answering
more.
your question.
Madam Chair, can we ask to ask the question? We gave him his 3 minutes for BS because that's what we got. The problem is they're making excuses and they're not picking up the trash, and we have customers. Here's what's happened. They're claiming they don't have drivers, and they're picking districts in which the commissioners are not supportive, and those are the ones that are getting shortchanged. And last time was Commissioner Lober's district. They decided not to send out, they were short drivers, and Commissioner Lober's district, I'm next. And until we do something, this type of behavior is just going to continue. And yes, it may be 0.03 or 0.05, but the problem is when this stuff is sitting out there and our consumers are paying 40% more, the fact that they're suffering and their profits are going up, they're suffering and their CEOs are making tens of millions of dollars. I have trouble answering these emails. And these phone
Commissioner,
calls.
may I
Madam
say
Chair.
something?
So I'd like to.
May I say something?
It's your
We
show,
made a
Madam Chair.
$50 million investment in this community to support your infrastructure. Without that financial witherall, this could have never happened.
Yeah,
There were
George,
3 other companies that had the same opportunity and they didn't.
I know, I'm gonna have to call your time. I think we're not getting anywhere on this path, but I have Miss Dina Ryder coming up next, and I'm going to let her continue the conversation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair and distinguished members of the Commission. I'm Dina Ryder-Hicks, Public Affairs Manager for Waste Management. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. Commissioner, I would like to, Commissioner Tobias, if I may point out, you are absolutely correct with regard to our earnings, and we are a for-profit company, and I will not apologize for that. And you are also correct, sir, in your assertion that I believe your words were, we pay our people a ton of money. You are absolutely correct. We do. We pay our people very, very well. And unfortunately, the situation we are facing in now is a shortage of drivers. It's not a lack of equipment. It's not a lack of infrastructure. It is a lack of drivers that has been the result of a multiple array of issues that I think we're all well aware of, that we've all experienced, not only in our industry, but also other industries. We've taken that ton of money that we are making, and here's what we've done. We have raised driver pay significantly to the fact that we are among the top, if not the top, compensator in the industry with regard to our full package that we offer with our compensation. We have instituted substantial signing bonuses for drivers and technicians here in Brevard County. Some of those positions come with signing bonuses of $5,000. We have enhanced our employee referral program to encourage our employees, the people that already work for us, to bring more drivers and technicians to us. We are paying as a company for college education for all of our employees and our dependents. If you do not have a CDL and you are a promising candidate, we will also pay for your CDL training and your CDL licensing to bring more drivers on board. We are facing this critical shortage of drivers, and that is the crux of the issue. Now, we have made gains in the northern part of the county with our Cocoa Hauling District. We have 5 individuals that have been offered positions that are pending a background check. We have 2 new individuals, new drivers that have started this week. We have 2 new drivers starting Monday. In the south, for the central and southern portion of Brevard, we have made 14 offers to individuals. 8 of those offers, those individuals, are now in training. 6 of those individuals are pending background checks. Provided that they pass those checks, those individuals will go in our training program. When you're driving an 11-ton truck, as I'm sure you're aware, you don't hire an individual on day one and put them immediately into the truck. We have a very comprehensive 90-day training program, and to make sure that when we put these individuals in the truck, it is as safe as possible to do so, and safety is an issue where we will absolutely not compromise. So please know, Commissioners, there is a path forward. We are extending offers to individuals. We are doing all that we can to recruit more candidates. And Commissioner Lober, I would like to thank you once again publicly, sir. I know we did this in private as well. Thank you for the role that you placed in helping to reduce these incentive programs that were coming into the state of Florida to help bring more individuals back into the workforce. And with that, I thank you very much for your time.
Ma'am, let me ask you a couple questions.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you just hire, all those positions and you have some more coming online, are you going to be able to hit that 60-day deadline I threw out early?
We are really pushing for that, Commissioner.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Because that will save this whole thing. If you do
bet.
that, then the penalties won't come in or anything.
Absolutely. We have a
Okay.
member of our Florida leadership team here with us this morning. He is hearing everything that you are saying, and he will be working with his colleagues. We, unfortunately, as you said, Commissioner, this is a statewide and a nationwide issue, and it's not just germane to waste management. Every single hauler and potential contractor is facing this issue. Mike Lewis is here, our senior district manager, Pete Duddy, our district manager. They have been given carte blanche from their supervisor to get whatever subcontractors we can in the area. We've brought DCI in. We told DCI, give us everything you got. Give us everything you have, every piece of equipment, every driver. We will pay your price for those individuals. We've brought DCI drivers in to collect more of the clam yard waste, and we said, give us more. And they said to us, we've given you everything we have. We have 2 trucks sitting right now because we cannot find drivers for them. If they find drivers, we've got them. So, Commissioner, absolutely. We're bringing in drivers from other areas as we can.
How many more positions do you need to fill?
Mike and Pete, can you provide some insight on that?
6 north, 4 for south. How many positions do you currently have advertised out there that you're trying to fill?
We have multiple positions advertised, from entry-level technicians through senior technicians. On the mechanic side, on the
Okay.
driver side, it's everything from driver helpers all the way up through senior
You've
drivers.
advertised all those positions.
They are advertised not only on wastemanagement.com, they are advertised on multiple national job boards. Commissioner, we have purchased billboards along I-95. I hope you have seen them,
Okay.
that we are advertising our open positions.
So everybody that applies, you're going ahead and trying to run through the path to get them busy driving, right?
Absolutely. Anyone that meets our qualifications, of course. We are conducting interviews. We've conducted local job fairs as well, where
Okay.
we've been able to hire individuals on the spot. And if they qualify, we're putting them through our background check and our
Okay.
training program.
So I don't know where everybody else is, but hopefully you get that because as of August 20th, it's going to be a little expensive for you.
I
So-
understand. I
So
understand, ma'am.
just so you know, if you do all that and you get it going, but you've got to understand, I really think right now you're over your heads. So if you don't pull all this off, we need some type of plan of what we're doing moving forward. 'Cause I can't continue to have the community kind of suffer through this, just so you know. I'm going to do Commissioner Zonka.
I keep hitting my button and I don't. And I thank you for your contact with my office when I have complaints and when I have needs. And I feel bad because you're the one that takes the brunt of it. Anybody that comes up to this microphone and defends waste management. But I'm even at my wit's end. I'm getting to the point to where I get tired of looking at the trash cans out, even in my own neighborhood, and because it's late. And if, subcontractors was the issue before, why wasn't waste management subbing out before? There is always the right number. There is always the right number that, and again, you have a competitive wage, whatever. If you had that right number, if your company had that right number, you would get the drivers. That's the bottom line. And I don't know what it's going to take, obviously, but I, for the first time, am pretty much done defending waste management. I made a call and it's not scientific because I don't have numbers. I made a call to another elected official in the city of Palm Bay, and they said they're not having issues with Republic. And I don't like to pitch up against them, but they just took over your old contract and had to come in with all new infrastructure. We were told multiple times how they were going to fail. And while they still have some things to work out, they don't have the number of complaints, at least according to my non-scientific opinion from somebody elected over there. So it makes it really hard to defend you because you guys were so good. And now when you're failing, after months and after we keep asking and we keep begging, please fix this. And it's excuse after excuse, it's getting harder to defend. So I know what your company's capable of, but it's really hard to swallow, and even more difficult when we look at your profits from the past year and what your CEO makes. It makes it even more sad to me, but so I'm prepared to take whatever action the board majority wants to take at this time.
Thank you for letting us speak to you, but Commissioner Smith, you have a light on for her, sir?
I do.
Do you?
I do.
You're kind of rolling up, so I'm trying to figure out
Yeah.
where you're
I'm trying.
popping in new here.
Please.
Okay, Commissioner Smith and Commissioner Lober, and then Commissioner Tabaya.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm sitting here and I'm listening and I'm frustrated, and you know that I've had some issues in my district. I walk my dog and I see particularly recycle. There's one pile that had some oak in it, and I went there with my chainsaw back the first weekend in May in a hurry because I thought you guys would come Tuesday, which is your normal day for that. And so I went through that pile and got as much oak wood for my fireplace as I could. And because I thought, well, boy, if I dilly-dally, it's going to be gone Tuesday. Well, as of about a week ago, that pile was still there. So I see it in my district as well. But I'm not as emotional as my fellow commissioners. I'm not happy with your performance, but I'm not emotionally involved. I look at this as a black and white thing. We have a contract with you. If you're failing the contract, there's remedies. And if you guys can live with those fines, I think I saw where, was it $39,000 that they've paid in fines, something like that. So that's not pocket change. For a company that makes as much money as you, somebody could argue that it's pocket change, but that represents probably the salary of a driver in a year or close to it. And that's only for the first 6 months, I think. So you're business people. You're going to fix, you know, you got a problem and you're working hard to fix it. and I have every faith that a company as profitable as you guys are and as big as you guys are, you're going to figure it out, or your heads are going to roll. That's life in the big city. Just like if you fail the contract, we're going to levy fines against you, and you're going to pay them because it's part of the contract. So I just think that you guys need to get your act in gear and fix it. That's the bottom line. And if we have a deadline of whatever it is, August something, August 20th. So we'll see what happens, but that's a month from now, and hopefully you can make everybody happy up here. At least I know that you're going to make every effort to do that. So that's what I have to say.
I want to address a few things. I want to address a few things that came up during public comment, and then also offer some thoughts of my own here.
Can we do all that in a minute? If you got something for Harvard to buy, I got one more card, and then I'm gonna let you have first dibs after that. Is that good?
Yeah, that's fine. I do have one question though. How many waste management employees are here
Are here?
right now? Half a dozen?
6, sir?
Do any of them have their CDLs?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'll save the rest.
Thank you, Commissioner Lober. Commissioner Tobias. Okay, wonderful. Thank you,
All right.
ma'am.
Thank you all very much
Thank
for your
you.
time and for your support. Thank
for
you.
your help. I have Miss Sarah Wagner. And then Commissioner Lober, you're next.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, ma'am.
I didn't know this was on the agenda. I was actually here for something else, but I actually live on Dump Road, so Adamson Road. I live directly across from the dump. I own 3 homes in District 1. And I can tell you that Waste Management misses a pickup every single month, at least once. So if that's just my home, and I've never reported it. So I live directly across from the dump, and I'm affected that much. And I can tell you that there is, on that one road, there is constantly debris from the trucks that never gets picked up. There's constantly yard pickup that never gets picked up. And that's on Dump Road. You can drive down that road every single day. What's your excuse for that road? That's one road in Brevard County. And I pay astronomical amounts of taxes in this county. That's all I have to say.
Miss Wagner, if you would always call me when it's missed, that would help me out greatly with this.
Okay, sorry,
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, that's the end of public comment. Commissioner Lober, as I
Right.
promised.
I appreciate it, Madam Chair. So as to that area, actually, it's interesting. I was over there, I think it was last week, and there was a truck, and I'll spare Waste Management, I'm not going to imply it was their truck. It was actually just a pickup truck, and there was a fridge that someone thought would be good to stick vertically on the back of their truck. I am glad I left following distance because it came right off and shattered all over the street. I've got great dash cam footage. I don't know that it's a public record, but if someone wants it, I'll give it to them anyway. I want to address a few things that were mentioned by Ms. Sullivan and by at least one of the other speakers on this item. First is to the website. I just sitting up here, I went on Google, and I'm sure you can do it on Yahoo or DuckDuckGo or whatever your preferred search engine is. If you just type in Miss Pickup Brevard County, the first item that comes up, the first result is brevardfl.gov. It says curbside collection. If you click that link on the header, the far right of the header, it says file a complaint. So I know I talked with Mr. Abate some months back and asked him to either make that option available online or to see about having it more prominent. It's pretty prominent on there. If you go to the solid waste portion of our website, there is at the very top right actually a pretty little icon with a pen and a sheet of paper as well saying file a complaint. So it is there, but if you don't want to navigate from solid waste to curbside collection, if you just Google Miss Pickup Brevard County, that alone seems to pull it up, at least for me right now. I'll say with respect to Dina, if I can use your first name, I like you a lot. I think you're a very nice person. Your company, I don't like so much. So don't take this personally. I think if they had, anyone shy of God Almighty, they couldn't do anything in your position beyond what you've done. As we understand now that there are at least half a dozen waste management employees there, at least some of whom have their CDL. I'm praying to God we don't have any missed pickups today. Because if we do, there's no reason we should have anyone with a CDL from Waste Management sitting here basically to try to explain or justify why we're in the position that we're in. As to the concern over an unknowable or unknown financial or fiscal impact, the unknown is as to the amount of damages that Waste Management would have to remit or credit the county. So it's an unknown in the positive in our direction, not an unknown in the negative. As far as it not being applicable to rentals, in a way that's true, and in a way it's really not true. We don't exclude rentals. The bottom line is we have to have some logical means and easy means to implement a program of this sort. So the ratepayer, the person who actually pays the bill, is the one that would receive the credit. If someone wants to negotiate their lease where if a credit is extended, that credit's transferred, we're not going to interfere with freedom of contract with respect to that. I can't imagine. So anyone whose lease is up, if they contemplating that we may take an action that would create a program like this, if you want to ask them to throw that in, go for it. I hope they do. As far as the county losing a lawsuit, there has to be a cause of action specified for a lawsuit. Some specific cause of action. You don't just sue someone because you don't like something. There's got to be some specificity there. I'm not aware of a particular cause of action that would be a great fit for them. I mean, really what it amounts to is us exercising our existing contractual rights and remedies. And if they don't like that, they shouldn't have entered into the contract. The question for me is what our limit is. I took years back my undergraduate degree that's rather useless and forced me to go to graduate school to get something I could actually earn a paycheck with, is in French language and literature. Everyone's heard of déjà vu. This is a little different today. It's déjà entendu, which means I've already heard it. I'm hearing the same things today that I heard the last two times I brought this up. I wish Commissioner Tobias success where I failed on this twice, but I'm looking up here. I just Googled as well because Google, maybe not corporate policy is my buddy, but at least in terms of giving me good results is my buddy. Definition of insanity. Definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And the question I have, and I'm sure there are folks that think that I'm completely off my rocker, but are we as a commission, as a body, are we insane? I think we have an opportunity to show the public that we're not going to do the same thing, or in this case, an inaction. We're not going to do anything as we've never done anything on this topic and expecting the service to magically change. I'm at a point where I think we need to do something. I like the folks, at least with whom I've interacted, that work for Waste Management that are here today. But either they don't have the authority or they don't have the ability to change it. Either which way, this needs to result in something occurring that will change the equation for them. Because if we just say bad, don't do it again, bad, they're not gonna change. They're not. You can say 60 days, you can say 30 days, you can say 90 days. I have absolutely no hope that this is going to be any different. I really don't. So it sounds like Commissioner Zonka may be on board. It sounds like Commissioner Tobias is certainly on board, and it sounds like I'm certainly on board. If one of you guys wants to take the honor and make the motion, I'll second it. Or if the other one of you wants to second it, I'm ready to go today.
Commissioner Tobias?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Chairwoman, I understand where you're going, giving them 60 days, but unfortunately, what you're threatening, we're already doing. We're already assessing a fine. The issue is, and it couldn't have been any better, one of your constituents.
What I did is I didn't talk to y'all, but I was letting them know I was about to jump in with what y'all want to do as of August 20th. So that was all that was, is I was getting ready to jump in with the other things. So that's.
Could I ask two things? Because
I didn't know y'all were going to bring this up.
I already have a motion on the floor. I'd be more than willing to amend it. What I would like is contemplate in that motion that the board brings it back to us so it's all ready to go on that day. And I'd like us to set a number here. You have the chart here. 100 is when we first mentioned it. I don't know what that magic number is, but I know that the number keeps on getting larger and larger and larger. And again, these are verified numbers. So these aren't numbers who are calling. These are ones that we've all agreed upon. So I'm just going to throw, if it's any more than 100 after would you say August 20th?
Yeah, that's exactly 60 days from when I called. So.
I would amend my motion to begin the program after August 20th should the number of missed pickups be any larger than verified missed pickups be any larger than 100.
Okay, Commissioner Tobias, my only other thing is I would like the money to come back to the county because I have a feeling we're going to have to spend a lot of money getting a new contract, and I would like to start working
So
But that, it's still going to cost them. They're going to have
so
to get
for,
on it.
for,
But
for a number of reasons, unfortunately, that causes issues. And here's the number of reasons. And Commissioner Lober mentioned one of them already. As the legislature precludes us from doing that. We can't
Okay.
unilaterally, or if we do, I guess we have to pay them an obscene amount of money. So we can't do that.
we can't
Number
do
two,
that.
we have to deal with the constituents that are in your district who there's no incentive for her to complain. It's not that they've missed 300. They've missed 3,000.
Well-
Just 2,700 people haven't
I know Miss
called.
Wagner missed it, but I promise you I'm getting
I
calls.
agree. And that's wonderful that she took the time to come here. But we need to find out what that, as Commissioner Lober mentioned, what that number is of the people that just take this as, and remember, this company caused us to go back and assess almost a 40% increase. They exercised the contract. So we need to incentivize people to contact our office. And the way to do that is provide them a share of that missed amount. That is the only way we're going to find out what that true number will be. So if, and listen, I don't remember what the number was, whether it was $20 or $25, but either way, there needs to be that incentive for them to call up and complain. And remember, these are verified. This isn't a complaint. You can't call up and say, I'd like my $20. This has to be verified.
We
So
can research that part still, even if we make this motion, we can figure out a lot of those details still, right? That's the only place I didn't spend a lot of time in that, and
there has to be
Okay.
some stick. If we say we'll give you till the 20th and we're going to do the exact same thing we're already doing, that's not a threat.
Can we be ready to do this on the 20th, but come back next meeting with how we're going to implement it?
There, Madam
I
Chair,
know,
may I
I
punt to
know, I know, I
may I
know.
punt to Commissioner Lober? This
I
was
could
initially
be
his
totally
idea.
outvoted with y'all,
I'm just-
so, but that's, yeah, okay.
All right, a couple thoughts. First, the proposal, at least as it was phrased when I introduced the item months back, was 20 going to the ratepayer if they call, and an additional 5 if they report it online. And again, this only applies to verified missed pickups. So up to 25, 20 by phone or 5 online, because frankly, it saves us staff time and having to deal with it by fielding a call. As far as the number that was suggested by Commissioner Tobias of 100, I would just be clear that if that's the trigger, that if it falls to 98 the next month, that we not obviate the program and do away with it. It is in once we hit 100 until further direction or further order of the commission. Beyond that, and I don't necessarily subscribe to the same level as Commissioner Tobias does, but I'm also somewhat cynical, and I understand that it's certainly a possibility that certain entities might be inclined, if there's going to be a service failure, to target those districts in which the commissioner has been perhaps least favorable to them. And I'm not saying that's happening here, but Commissioner Tobias, if that is a concern of yours, I would support, in addition to specifying a countywide number of verified missed pickups, if you want to keep 100, so be it, to have a second number that either or would trigger it. So you could say, I don't know, 30 in any individual commission district, or 40 or 20 or whatever number you're comfortable with. So you could say if it's 100 countywide, it's triggered, or alternatively 30 in any one district. So it's not that they pile everything in D3 and say, Merry Christmas, Commissioner Tobias, now you have all the problems. We've got 99 missed pickups, all of which are in D3. I just don't want to see that happen to you. And I don't know that they would do that. I would hope that they wouldn't. I don't necessarily think that they would. But if you want to throw that in as a second trigger, I'm fine with that too.
Mr. Zonka?
Now, what I was going to comment on is going to sound completely out of place because there was so much discussion when I hit my button earlier. But I do have to say it just for the record and just so Waste Management knows it. Dina has been the most responsive individual to my office that, I mean, I'm impressed. You email back even when you shouldn't be working. So I just want to thank you. And again, I think Commissioner Lober said it, you're probably bound by the limitations you have, but you're courteous, you're professional, you're good to the residents that you have to respond to. And I just can't give you enough praise. Again, I realize it's out of place now because we're talking about potential motions, but I had to say that. And I thank you enormously. That's why it makes it really hard for me because, we have a tendency to get emotional about things and we interject our personalities and our relationships and stuff. And Dana's amazing. So I just needed to say that.
Good, yes.
And I'm prepared to still move forward because I don't blame Dina for the failures of Waste Management. Dina is working within the bounds of what she can do.
Commissioner Smith, you're next. I just let me throw this out, though. I would like to bring this back next meeting so we can figure that out. I still have a little bit of heartburn about trying to even facilitate getting money to people who complain. I don't know the cost on that for staff. I just haven't had enough time to think that through because it's the first time I've even considered it. So not y'all's fault, but I haven't put a lot of thought into that, so. To pay the individuals?
No, but I'm saying penalty.
I want to do the penalty, just paying the individuals so far that I'm having a little bit of a cover on. Commissioner Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, Dina, good job. Everybody else said it, so I didn't want to be remiss and think that have you think that I don't think you've done a good job. And I can't say that any of you folks haven't done a good job because I know you're one guy's pulled all his hair out. So
Me?
no, you're working on it. So am I. Eden, can we do this? Is this something that you think would work?
We can try it.
Yeah.
You know, whether or not it's really effective, I can't answer that.
Well, no, that's not the question. I just want to know legally, can we do something like
Can
this?
do it.
Okay.
There, you know, with any new program, we will, I'm sure, hear challenges from one side or the other, but we will deal with it as it comes.
Okay. I'm not in favor of it. Like I said, we already have a contract that provides penalties. We just have to let people know that they can call their commissioner. That's all you need to do. Make a quick phone call to your local commissioner. You don't even have to be local. You can call my office. We keep tallies on that and then we notify them. And that tally that we get goes to the county so that we get reimbursed. So maybe we need to do a better job of letting the public know that they can reach out to each and every one of us. But right now it looks like I'm the one vote out of 5 that's not going to support this. But I understand where you guys are coming from, but I wouldn't support it. I think we already have a contract in place. They're abiding by the contract. We're abiding by the contract. They're failing the contract and they're paying the price. And I don't know how we can incentivize them to do a better job because their jobs are on the line. Their bosses don't like hearing that the customers are unhappy. So they're not sitting there twiddling their thumbs because they don't care. They've got a problem and they're trying their best to fix it. And if they don't fix it, they're not going to have a job. So that's my 2 cents.
Mr. Smith, thank you. I am in favor of penalties, guys. I just don't know how to distribute them. I'm not ready to vote on how we're going to place the penalties after we receive them as far as giving them to the individual homeowners. That's the only hangup I have right now.
Got a suggestion?
But I am in favor of that. Let me give Commissioner Zonka first, sir, and then you're right after that. Commissioner Zonka.
And I just want to say, with Commissioner Smith, most people don't know that their trash has been missed till the end of the day. And as far as calling our office, you heard the resident. I mean, most people don't have the time. They don't know who to call, or they're calling their mayor, or they're calling the wrong office. We sometimes get, forwarded messages and that sort of thing. I know when trash is missed at my place, I don't call. I just hope they come and get it the
Same
next
way.
day. Or I know I have 2 days a week and I just roll it back up so my HOA doesn't get on my butt, and I just wait till the next trash. Usually it's just late. Usually it's just the next day. And I can be a little understanding with that. I don't like it, obviously, when it's missed, but I don't get as missed as others. But the yard waste that's growing weeds because it sits there for weeks and weeks. And those trash trucks and those yard waste clam trucks drive past it. So yeah, the homeowner hasn't called like they're supposed to. However, those drivers still see it and it's still growing its own garden in the middle of it. So, that's on Riverside Drive. So, again, I think Waste Management needs to do better. And I don't think we should put it on the residents to have to call us to complain about it. The goal should always be to get the trash and the yard waste picked up. You never want to incentivize somebody to call. However, if this makes Waste Management do what they have to do to make things work better, then I'm okay with that. Because they're not going to want to be penalized for it, no matter who the money's going to.
Yeah.
And if it's verified, we know residents can't just call randomly without some sort of proof. So,
Commissioner Lober.
Couple thoughts. First, as to what Commissioner Smith said, that we have an existing contract in place. I agree. We've been abiding by it. We're not talking about any action that would cause a change to that contract remains in place regardless of how this vote goes today and regardless of how the particular motion is phrased. As far as Waste Management paying the price for service failures, that's in part true, but really the way to phrase it is they're paying, the operative word here is part of the price, because we don't even know the extent of the issues. We've got the sheet that Commissioner Tabaya beautifully constructed or had constructed that shows here, hold on, let's see. Okay, right is left and left is right on the screen. It shows the missed pickups, but we don't know if that's 30% of it, 5% of it, 90% of it. I have no idea. Folks clearly don't know where to report these missed pickups. I've encouraged folks to call solid waste so that solid waste can maintain a countywide tally instead of any individual commission office. And solid waste can also go ahead and reach out to Waste Management to lobby on their behalf to get the pickup corrected. But what I would suggest, Commissioner Pritchett, if folks are amenable at this point, if this would bring you on board, let's do this. Let's go ahead. We'll have Commissioner Tabaya, if he wants to be the one that makes the motion, to make the motion that effective the date that he suggested, that we implement this program and that we direct staff to come back at the next reasonable opportunity at a notice commission meeting, not a special meeting, to bring back their intention, or if they don't have a clear intention, the best couple options for how to actually remit this payment or how to credit the consumer. And then you can address that. In the meanwhile, we know that they're going to be credited effective the date that's triggered. And we'll simply address the mechanism by which that takes place after staff has an opportunity to make their suggestions. Whether we can do it as a credit to the bill, that would be wonderful. If we can't do that, we have to cut checks, which may well be the case. I'd like to give them the opportunity to do that. If you're concerned, we don't have to actually cause that particular portion of it to be figured out today, but we can come back and revisit that. So that's my suggestion. I just wouldn't hold everything on account of one small piece being an unknown for you if we can come back and revisit that one piece, not whether we're going to pay the incentive, but how we pay it.
Mr. Tabaya?
I think that's a decent compromise. I just think something needs to change. If we say you have until the 20th to do this, or we're going to collect it, well, we're already collecting it. So there needs to be something changed on the 20th. And I think that if you're not comfortable, maybe staff can, or maybe we can bring something back. That deadline needs to be there. We need to find out what that real number is. Maybe you're not comfortable with $25. And here's the thing, Waste Management has control of this. You see, we could charge $100 and they would have the ability to actually pick up trash and avoid that. Now, it's not going to really matter to them. Commissioner Smith said $39,000. That is 1/3 of 1% of what the CEO made last year. So if we triple it, that is 1% of what the CEO made. Listen, I love for-profit companies, but I love for-profit companies that actually do what they are supposed to do. And the fact that they have 6 people here, you better believe that they're worried about us exercising part of the contract. They didn't worry about that when they got out of the contract so they could charge us 39% more. But take that excuse that you got from Dina Ryder Hicks, we're trying to hire more people, and send that to the single mother who lives and is not having their trash picked up. And you know what? I bet you're going to get back yeah, I understand they're trying their hardest. I mean, it's not working here. Send that. Just please send that email that you got. I'll send you a copy if you didn't get it, and send that to the people that missed. We have one right here. We have it. I'd be more than willing to ask her what she would think of that one-page email of they're trying, and yet she lives right across from the dump. We need to do something different. We can't threaten the exact same thing we're currently doing. And maybe there's another alternative here. I like the one that Commissioner Lober had, but again, if Waste Management doesn't like it, they can fix it by doing their job, the one that they promised to do when they signed the contract. And remember, when it benefited them to get out of their last contract, that's the first thing they did. They jumped out of there so they could jack rates up, what turned out to be 39%. And you know what? The contract allowed them to do that. I was mad initially, but that's what the former commission decided, to give them an out. Well, I'm asking us to do the same thing. It allows us to do this in the contract. Are they happy about it? No, but they signed that contract. This is a multi billion corporation. You better believe that they are a intelligent actor, and the fact that they have 6 people here is probably a pretty good indication that they have the ability to remedy this. But if we just ask them to do it and don't change anything, you saw what happens here. I mean, goodness gracious, I don't want to keep on bringing this up over and over and over again. But if we don't change it, this number is going to get larger. Dina's emails are going to get longer, and this woman's trash is going to continue not to be picked up, and we're not going to know about it, unfortunately. So I don't know where that puts us if we ask staff to bring back some opportunity, some options at the next meeting, but we need to keep that deadline. We need to keep that number of 100, and we make a decision at that point.
I'm good with all that. If staff can come back, I just don't know what it's going to cost for them to get the money and try to mail the money out.
Oh, I don't want, listen, I don't want staff to be, if we collect $50 and we remit 20 and it costs us $10 for the,
That's all I just want to figure that out.
Absolutely. But again, Waste Management has the ability to fix this. God forbid, I hope we don't have to do this, because they have the opportunity to drop this 100 and we never bring this up again. And I really hope that happens.
I'm good. I'm good with that. If you're good with the August 20th, because I want
Madam
to keep
Chair?
my word if y'all are good. But I would really like for staff to come back, let us know if we have a cost. Mr. Slusher brought up some things that I'm just I would like some input on that. And not your fault. I just didn't spend the time asking them offline before we got here. Commissioner Lober.
And this is really directed to Commissioner Tobias predominantly. If you want, I'm still amenable. If you want to make a motion today so that we will trigger these particular actions, either upon a threshold of 100, or if you want to add a second trigger as an alternative, 30 per district or otherwise, and simply have the mechanism by which a portion of the liquidated damages would come back and be remitted to the ratepayers. You can make that motion. I'll second it. It sounds like you'll probably have support for it today. If you'd prefer just to wait on it, we can do that. But I think you've got some momentum now, and I'd hate to see you lose that because we wait.
Madam Chair, I think this comes down to Dr. Zonka. If she's willing to do that, if she would rather wait with 3 options, the question is, do we want to talk about this for an hour next meeting? Do we really want to take the CDL drivers out there that could be picking up trash but aren't picking up trash? I was going to ask the exact same question. How many folks are either employed by Waste Management or have contracts with Waste Management? But the follow-up on the CDL was a good one. So the question, I guess, is to Dr. Zonka, do you want to institute the penalty now or talk about the possibilities of instituting the penalties at next meeting?
Well, it depends on if you want full commission buy-in as far as the deadline. If you're going to change the deadline, it doesn't matter if the penalty's in place because we're still going to do the penalty. So I'm fine either way because we're going to institute. You have the will of the board up here to institute the penalty. But as far as logistics and how we implement that, that's up to staff. If we all agree that there's going to be a penalty by August 20th, then that's not going to change from this meeting to the next. So I'm prepared to move forward any way which you guys are.
I'd like to.
Because we can talk about details after as far as how staff is going to handle it. Because the payout amount to the consumer could be less the cost to the county.
That's fair.
So, and that's how you word that.
Absolutely.
Because if it's $7 a person, it's a patient.
Oh, yeah.
Stop
So-
calling me doctor, you're messing me up. If it's $7 or $9 a person, then that's the cost to the county.
So if you want, Commissioner Tobias, and again, feel free to phrase it however you'd like, but if you want to skip the trigger and just say effective immediately or effective the first month that service failures hit whatever threshold you want, that your motion would then be to direct staff to seek all available contractual remedies in the form of liquidated damages for service failures from that point until further direction of the board. And in the meanwhile, that you will just your motion contemplates directing staff additionally to come back to the commission with options for how to share a portion of the liquidated damages with the ratepayers who would be reporting the actual service failures pending verification of their reported failed pickups.
You're not going to implement August 20.
However you want to do it. You can implement it August 20th. I'll
Okay.
support you. You can implement it today. I'll support you. However you want to do it.
I can vote if we do August 20 because I gave my word.
Do you have a dollar amount? I mean, do you have, I mean,
Oh, here's what we can say now. And that tentatively, the intention for the commission is to share $20 less processing or administrative costs for phone reported missed pickups that are verified, or 25 for electronically reported missed pickups that are verified using the county's online system that I referenced
less
earlier.
administrative costs, yeah.
Yeah, less administrative costs.
Is that
And then the
good?
maximum amount that any ratepayer would be refunded in the course of any year is what they pay toward the actual service. So they can't receive more of a credit than the full cost that they pay over the course of a calendar year.
Sounds good.
I mean, we shouldn't give someone $10,000.
So why don't you make that motion because you said it all?
Is it, if you want me to make the motion, that's fine. Commissioner Tobias,
I
if you want the
second,
honors,
yeah,
God bless
I'll
you.
second that motion.
Okay.
With it being August 20.
With it being August 20th or not, Commissioner Tobias?
I'm fine.
Up
with
to
that.
you.
I mean, if it-
Okay, it seems like we got August 20th as a buy-in in on this one then.
So be it. That's what the motion contemplates. Second hold?
yeah, or Tobias was the second.
You can be the third.
Okay, I have a motion. Oh, you did it for me. Thank you. I'll sit back and join it.
Did you get all that, clerk? Okay.
Oh, she's like,
They must
You
love
will
us.
go back and watch.
okay, have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Passes 4-1 with Commissioner Smith in objection. Thank you. And thank you guys for all you do. I know it's tough. So.
I
thank
really
you.
do like you, Dina.
Yeah.
And just as a heads up to the higher ups in waste management, if you guys can her, that's a way to just invite even more ire from the commission. So keep her, please.
Okay, we're gonna move into public comment, but before we do, I see Miss Abby out there. Would you like to come forward and just address us? We are thankful to have you come on board, and congratulations, and we would love to hear from you for a minute.
Can we give her 3 minutes?
She's an attorney. You better limit her to 3.
I'll be brief. I thank you so much. I am so excited for this opportunity. I want you to know, I want each of you to know that this is my dream job. I am all in for you. I've only been here a couple years, but I love the staff. I love Brevard County and I love our residents. So I'm here to serve you and the residents, and I'm so excited. Thank you. Thank you
You're a
so
good
much.
choice. Hold on a second.
Congratulations.
Commissioner Zonko would like to say
And I was going
something.
to save this for a private conversation. I hope you don't hold my bias toward the first
Absolutely not.
candidate against me. I
No.
wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't fight for my candidate, but you are amazing. We had a great interview and I hope, we can continue with a good relationship.
Absolutely. Thank
Me
you
and
so
Eden
much.
did, and I didn't support in-house then because I wanted more options. So it's nothing personal. You're talented, you're brilliant, and I look forward to working with you.
I look forward to serving you and the residents. Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank
Now,
you.
did you squeal a little bit when we were voted?
Yes, you should have been upstairs. That's why I'm a little raspy, I'm afraid.
All right, good
But
luck.
thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. We are moving into public comment. I have Mr. Slasher. Slasher.
Sounds a lot more aggressive.
I always say hi Nathan every time I see him, so I'm
Nathan
bad with
Slusher,
last names.
1860 Allendale and Titusville. This is more of a technical suggestion that staff may be better at than you guys. But the giant board behind you, it's been brought to my attention that people want to see what you're seeing on the board. So like when Parks and Recs gives you options, you guys are up here saying A, B, C, A, B, C. Nobody knows what A, B, C is unless, I'm sorry?
It was in the agenda.
Yes, we could print it out, but the people who are in here can't see it.
Oh.
Now, I just saw this for the first time today. So I was going to suggest something for public comments, but seeing this, if we could use that more often, like I said, it's been brought up and then it was brought up again to me today during this meeting. So I just want to suggest that we use this to make more transparency.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, we are moving into board reports. County manager,
No report.
county attorney.
2 very quick items. I just wanted to let you know, in case you missed it in your email yesterday, the employees have submitted another offer of settlement at $172,500. They owe about $350,000, so we're not recommending settlement unless the board tells us otherwise. Watersmark, we did have a summary judgment against the county. We are proceeding with appeal. I think you have an email about that. I don't see any other route to go at this point.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Lober.
do I even dignify the Obloy thing with a response? No. Okay, I'm going to go with a solid no on that one, with a suggestion that maybe, save the billable hour and not submit a subsequent settlement proposal. The settlement proposal that I think folks would be amenable to up here is payment in full of the amount that's owed. Can't do that. Save yourself the time, save yourself the billable hour. I just want to take a moment of personal privilege here to let folks know that the reason that I had to appear telephonically for the first and only time for the last meeting, thank God, has a happy ending, as it were. So my little guy that had his spleen and a lobe of his liver removed.
I think we need to tell him it's your puppy.
Yeah, my puppy.
Yeah.
I love this dog. He's he's basically a quadruped that might as well be my kid. I don't have any human children, so. He's alter ego? No, he's a lot nicer than I am, a lot nicer, and oftentimes quite a bit smarter as well. But we got the pathology back on him. Everything came back benign, which is shocking, but I am beyond elated. The wife and I had a lot of sleepless nights while we were waiting for that to come back and while he was recovering. But I can tell you, regardless of what bad may happen or transpire between now and certainly the next while here, it's meaningless in comparison to the good news that we got. So for the folks that either said a little prayer for him or kept them in their thoughts, thank you. I'm not going to say that didn't have something to do with it. It certainly was appreciated, but thank you guys. Today was a fun meeting. I think we got a lot done. It's always fun having a little back and forth up here. It kind of gives me a little feel of what it's like being in the courtroom. Kind of like courtroom light, having this adversarial relationship sometimes with some of the folks up here, even if we get along after the meetings are concluded. But thanks. It's been fun getting through the issues with you guys, and I look forward to many more days of doing the same.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Tobias.
No report, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Smith.
No report.
Commissioner Zonka.
It'll be quick, I promise. I just wanted to thank county staff for coming through once again, Mary Ellen and others that came through we had a request from Aging Solutions because they've received more awards of the state. And Danielle, my chief of staff, has sort of been the lead on that. And we were able to collect more toiletries for these folks. And these folks have nobody. So I just have to say kudos to those that helped load Danielle's truck today. And I have another trunk load. Tom Neidert called me on the phone and said, he's with our fire department. He's a district chief. He called me. He said, why didn't you call me and tell me you had needs? Because every year he comes through at Christmas time for these folks. So anytime, we will always take donations, and they always need them. And they're so appreciative. The people that run that show over there are always appreciative as well. So I just wanted to thank Tom Neidert, the BCFR folks, for once again coming through, for our county staff who comes through every year at Christmas and who's come through again, Christmas in July, right? This really holds true for these folks. And again, these guys have nobody. So it means a lot to our office, and it means a lot to these folks. So I just wanted to say thank you.
And I have no report, so I'm going to call this meeting adjourned. What did we say?
The opinions expressed by any member of the public during any period of public comment do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Board of County Commissioners.